Today I am making Ayurvedic hair growth oil for the first time. I have chosen to use powders instead of actual dry herbs that may become rancid later. So one of the first powders that I'm going to use is called Bringraj. And I'm also going to be using some amla powder. Next we have fenugreek powder. And after that, there's ginkgo biloba leaf. And also moringa leaf powder. And all of those powders came from ordering on just Amazon. Next, I'm going to add in some carrier oils. And so I have a combination of oils. Some of these I already had, and then some of them I had to purchase. So there's going to be, we have argan. I'm going to use argan oil and coconut oil. Then there's grapeseed and extra virgin olive oil. Also, there's avocado oil and castor oil and jojoba oil. Next, going to be using some frankincense, lavender, and I have some vitamin E oil that I got. Also, there's peppermint oil and rosemary and tea tree oil. Now, for some of these oils, you can also use like the fresh rosemary leaves, fresh rosemary instead of using oil. But since I already had this, I decided that I am going to use that instead. What I'm going to use next is I'm going to get a mason jar, and I just have this small mason jar here that I'm going to be putting all the powders in. I'm going to put the powders in first, and then after that, I will add the oils on top of that. And there's one more powder that just hasn't arrived yet, and I'm going to add it later. But for right now, this is what I'm working with to pull all of this together. So this is what it looks like once I open up the ginkgo biloba leaf. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1 tablespoon of each of those powders, and then I'm going to put them into my mason jar that I have here. Like that. So now I'm going to add the amla powder. I'm going to do a tablespoon of that. Put that inside of the mason jar. And then as I get through with each one of them, I'll just put them to the side so I'll make sure I don't repeat putting anything in there. The next one that I'm going to put in is the Bringraj powder. Now each one of these is going to do different things, and put them all together is going to emulsify putting my hair growth oil together as I work on growing my hair and making it more hydrated so that it will be moisturized, so that it will grow thick and full, and to eliminate breakage. Each one of them has different properties. Next, I am putting in the fenugreek powder. And so the last powder that I'm going to put in is going to be the Moringa leaf powder. And that will be the last of the powders to put in since my other one has not come yet. The last one that I ordered is neem powder. And it's just being slow being delivered. But this is what all the powders look like once you put all of them inside of the mason jar. And so I put a tablespoon of each one of those in my mason jar. So I've gone in and I have stirred up all of the powders and I've mixed them together in the mason jar. And so now I'm just going to go through here and I'm going to put the different oils in there. And I am not going to measure the oils. I measured the powders and used 1 tablespoon, but for everything else, I'm going to use just my eyes to determine how much I want to put in there. And I want to finish everything off with the olive oil as far as being the one that I put the most oil in of. So first, I'm going to take my jojoba oil. And this has a dropper in it, so I am just going to take out the dropper and just start pouring some in there until I feel like it's enough. I'm not going to overdo it, but I'm going to put some of that in there. Then I can always come back and put more in if I feel like I want to put more in. So there is that. And then next I'm going to take the argan oil and I'm going to pour some of that in there. Okay, so we've got that taken care of. I also want to put some of this coconut oil in there, so I'm going to take that top off and pour some of that in there. Next, I am going to put some black castor oil in there. So I'm going to shake that real good. Oops. And pour some of that. Next, we are going to use some of this grapeseed oil. Put some grapeseed oil in. All right. Also, we have avocado oil. So I'm going to shake that up real good. Pour my avocado oil in there. And I want to go ahead and add in my extra virgin olive oil. Go ahead and put some of that in there. And I think I'm going to save putting those smaller ones in there for last. That way I can tell if I want to add more or less of a particular one. So I'm going to pour my extra virgin olive oil in there. And I have some extra oil if I feel like I need some more. So I'm going to put that in there. Okay, I don't have a fancy stirring utensil or anything to mix it up with. So I just got a spoon and I'm going to mix everything up. After looking at it, I realized that the ginkgo biloba leaf, you can still see the leaves in there. And I know that you can strain those out once everything gets mixed up. But I'm going to let this sit. Like once I get everything mixed up, I'm going to let it sit before I use it. And so we will see how that looks as far as those pieces get mixed up in there and everything. But I know I need to put some more oil in here. So I have my vitamin E oil. And I'm going to make sure that I put some of that in there. For that, I'm going to use the dropper and drop some of those drops in there. Then I'm going to close that up. Next, we have the tea tree oil. So I'm going to shake that up real good. And then I am going to drop some of the drops in there. Okay, so after that, there is also lovely rosemary. So I'm going to shake the rosemary oil up. And then I'm going to drop some of that in there. I'm putting like 5 or 6 drops in there, and I can always come back later and put more if I decide that that is not enough. But I also have my peppermint oil, so I'm going to shake that up. And I'm going to drop some drops of that. Oops. Don't have much left to do, but the lavender oil, I know that'll give it like a different smell. So I'm going to drop a few drops of that in there. And I also have this frankincense oil, which I save for last, and I'm going to put a few drops of that. It doesn't take much. Some of these are very, very potent. So you have to be careful with how much of that you put in. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in some more of this avocado oil. So give everything a good stir. So this is what it looks like when it's done. I know that does not look appealing, but it's got all kinds of good stuff in it, and I know it's going to help me with my hair growth journey. I have changed my hairstyles a million times, and I cut my hair off and rocked the fade for a while, and now my hair is growing back. So I hope this will help speed up the process to help it grow back. I'm anxious to see what this looks like in a couple weeks after everything has set. And I'm excited to see how it helps me along the way with my journey. So thank you for tuning in. This is my first time doing this as far as putting in the powders. I've done hair growth oils before, but I've only used the oils and never the powders with it. So I was really excited to try all the different ones like the fenugreek powder and the moringa. And then I use a lot of shea butter on my skin and sometimes my hair. So another thing I want to try later is I want to try like the moringa moisturizing cream for your hair. It's like I know you can add moringa to shea butter and that whole process to make those types of hair products. But this is pretty exciting to me, and I'm looking forward to seeing how everything turns out. So thank you once again for tuning in as I prepare my hair growth oil. Thank you.